Good evening. The City of Plymouth City Council meeting for Thursday, August 10th, 2023 is now called to order. In-person participation by the public is permitted, and remote electronic public participation is also available in the following ways: via Zoom by following the link and the information that's listed on the agenda. Members of the public participating electronically via the Zoom link and wishing to speak may do so during public comment by using the raised hand feature in the Zoom webinar. When dialing into Zoom at the phone number listed above, on your phone use *9 to raise and lower your hand, use *6 to mute and unmute your phone. You can submit a written public comment prior to the meeting by emailing your comment to the Acting Deputy City Clerk or emailing dknight@cityofplay of the meeting. Emailed public comments will be distributed to the City Council and made part of the official record. This meeting is being recorded. At this time, we ask you to please silence all your cell phones or similar devices. Can we please have a roll call?
Councilmember White.
Here.
Councilmember McLaughlin.
Here.
Councilmember Kleinfelter. Absent. Vice Mayor Sim.
Here.
Mayor Ackerland.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 2 is approval of the City Council regular meeting agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McLaughlin. Kleinfelter. Absent. Vice Mayor Sim.
Aye.
Mayor Ackerland.
Aye. Number 3, public comment. Under provisions of the California Code, the City Council, citizens wishing to address the City Council for any matter not on the agenda may do so at this time by completing a speaker submittal form to the Deputy City Clerk or following the instructions noted on this agenda. Speakers will be called by the mayor at the point on the agenda when the item will be heard. Speakers are encouraged to keep comments to 3 minutes or less and to state their name and community of residence. Under provisions of the California Government Code, the City Council is prohibited from materially discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda unless it can be demonstrated to be of an emergency nature or an urgent need to take immediate action arose after the posting of the agenda. At this time, do we have any public comment from anybody here in City Hall? Hello, Sheriff Redmond.
Hi, good evening, Sheriff Gary Redmond. I just, it's been on my radar, something I wanted to do, just make sure.
If you could push the button over there.
There we go. Sorry about that. It's been on my radar for a while, and this something I wanted to do was just to make sure that I reach out and get to these meetings occasionally and maybe provide an update and just a brief overview of things that are happening, current events, et cetera, within the Sheriff's Office. Things are finally starting to calm down a little bit for me, so here I am, and hopefully I'll be able to come out quarterly with City of Plymouth and also Amador City. So at the Sheriff's Office, we've really been having a hard time recruiting and retaining people within the Sheriff's Office in all ranks, from deputy, dispatchers to correctional staff. We're at a critical shortage of our dispatchers. We currently have 5 dispatchers out of 11. I've got deputies that are working overtime shifts to help out within the dispatch center, because we do provide not only the dispatch to the deputies, but also answer phones and emergencies, 911s, and also medical aids. We dispatch for American Legion Ambulance too. So it's very critical that we have this staffed. And we also have a shortage in our jail. We're down almost 10 positions within the jail ranks. So with this, I went to the board and started negotiating with them, letting them know of the current crisis. And I'm happy to report that the board agreed to an immediate 5% within that association. So that is correctional staff and dispatchers. And they've also extended their contract, which was a 3-year contract, and they extended an additional year, and they gave the correction staff 3%, excuse me, and 5% for those dispatchers. So we're hoping with that, we're really gonna be competitive and at least retain the people that we currently have. The deputies I'm working on next. I haven't forgot about the deputies because we are short-staffed within the deputies, but not as critical. We currently have 2 in the academy, and we've got 2 slated for the next academy, but that's not slated till January. We're looking to see if we can get them in an academy sooner than that. And then we're going to be down still 3 positions, but I've got 2 retirements coming up this year, my undersheriff and a sergeant. So that's kind of some of the current trends. In an effort to also recruit and retain, I did go to a staccato pistol. I'm currently wearing the staccato right now. And if you're not familiar with that handgun, it's probably one of the best handguns made currently. And there's a reason why 900 law enforcement agencies throughout the nation are going to this. And we're one of the first in Northern California. And this is also recruitment and retention. It's much safer for the deputies. I come from a tactical background. Much safer for them to have follow-up shots. It's much safer for the public because they are way more accurate than our current standard Glock pistols. I didn't use any public funds when I purchased this. This was all done through asset forfeiture. So I was happy to take drug money and purchase some very, very quality weapons in an effort to retain. So currently this year, we've had 630 incidents within the city of Plymouth. And incidents go from a deputy-initiated incident to a medical aid to a call for service. It runs the gamut, also traffic stops included in there. And just to give you an idea, I looked at some of the other areas that are under our jurisdiction. Volcano has 290 incidents. Pine Grove, River Pines, 133, and Fiddletown, 204. When you get into Pine Grove, we're at about 1,900 incidents. So it gives you kind of a snapshot of how much time we actually are spending in Plymouth. And when I run these stats, it doesn't add up the time, but it actually records when the deputy was here, when they were dispatched, how long they spent on the call for service, if it was a call for service or just a business check. And I can tell you it's hundreds of hours. So just kind of a little brief overview. And if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
How many total deputies do you have in the county?
So we are slated for 54
You're down
for deputies. That's including myself.
54 total.
Total. That's correct.
And you're short how many?
Right now, we're going to be short 3, and then I've got 2 more that are going to be retiring. So we'll be short 5 at the end of this year.
And how many times a day do you know that your deputies cruise through Plymouth?
I don't know how many times per day. That's not something that is easily captured. I just know, how much time, if we were to add all that up, how much time we actually do spend.
630 incidents.
But those 630 incidents,
That's year to date.
that's year to date, correct.
Gotcha.
And that's anywhere from, it could be 5 minutes to 2 hours.
Understand. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Sheriff.
All right.
Thank you for being here.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to stick around for a little bit, and then I'm going to go enjoy some tacos across the street.
Have you got your cars yet?
What's that?
Have you received your cars yet?
They are being built. And
Two of them, right?
2, correct. And the plan is to outfit those with radar, and then we're working on training some folks with radar so we can come out and actually have a much better presence enforcing some of the speed laws here in the city of Plymouth.
While you're there, do you want to do a little advertising for Top Cop that is coming up?
Top Cop is coming up. We're going to be at the fairgrounds August 26th. I am one of the committee members. Very proud to support our veterans and first responders. Thank you
And
for that.
tickets are still available?
Tickets are still available. We're getting close to being sold out, though. I think we have about 35 tickets left, was my last count.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Other public comments? Please, come on up, Jamie.
Good evening. I'm sorry, I filled out a paper and I wasn't sure if I was supposed to wait till I was called. Thank you, Mayor Ackerlin and City Council members for letting me speak. My name is Jamie Lebanco, for the record, from Fiddletown, a business owner and property owner here in Plymouth. So as you know, I've had a little bit of a hiatus. And as I was kind of coming out of that hiatus and trying to get my feet under me, I was trying to figure out some of the things that I might want to do next. And I keep circling back to my kind of love for Plymouth and what we kind of all, I think, hope to achieve here in our community. And so I've been poking around, doing some research on some different types of way to maybe encourage some economic development and some revitalization on Main Street. I had a conversation with Tracy Berkner from TASTE recently, and we were discussing the possibility of putting together like a community benefit foundation, something that might possibly be able to invest in entrepreneurs and different types of things in Plymouth. And she said in Stockton, they have a program called Angel Investors. And so that sent me directly to the City of Stockton's website. It turns out that angel investors actually aren't a Stockton program. I think that's actually a national program. But while I was on their website, I ended up going down this little rabbit hole, if you will, and I ended up on the Stockton economic development portion of their website. And I found these two incredible programs there, and they had these handy flyers for those programs, so I printed them out and I brought them this evening. Essentially, these programs are a facade revitalization loan program where the City of Stockton has determined certain areas in Stockton where I think their problem is really graffiti, and they give loans in certain amounts to property owners to redo the facades of their buildings, and if their buildings remain in great condition for the period of 5 years, then their loans are waived. And the second program is called the Downtown Financial Incentive Program, and this program actually doesn't waive permit fees, because I think permit fees legally you're obligated to pay, but it waives plan reviews, it waives water hookups, and all different types of things that the city would charge for businesses that want to come in. In Stockton, the building has to be vacant for a certain period of time to qualify for this program. So again, I brought copies of these to you. I'd be happy to help in any way possible. I know that many of the council members have really stated revitalization of Main Street as part of their goal, and I know that economic development was also a big consideration in the recent budget you passed. So I'm hoping these ideas might be helpful. And I have a lot of free time these days. I may go actually look for a dispatcher job now that I heard the sheriff's presentation. But if there is any help that I could offer, if anyone wanted me to do any more research, I'd be happy to do that.
For you, if you know the answer, if not, I'm sure we'd figure out by looking at the pamphlet. But for the building owners to improve the facade, and what do they need to, do you know how they qualify for the loan?
I don't know the specific details. It seems to me that Stockton has designated districts, like areas of Stockton probably where they have the most blight, I would assume. And then I think another interesting part of the program is the city actually has a list of local contractors that have been approved. They have, all the appropriate licensing, insurance, and all of those things. And so to get the grant, you have to use a local contractor to do the work, which is then encouraging, kind of reinvesting in your community. Yeah, so I'll leave these pamphlets with you. And again, Margaret, I hate to be the person that shows up and says, here's more ideas and more work. If there's anything I could do to be of assistance, I'm not hard to find.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else here in City Hall who would like to make public comment? Okay. We did receive public comment via email from Mr. Spinetta. And so we have that. And then is there anybody on Zoom for public comment? And I can't see from here. No? Okay. All right. I'm going to close public comment now. And we'll go on to number 4, presentations, proclamations, appointments. And we do have a number of presentations that were happy to share. So I'm going to ask if the council, if we can all go down to the podium, and then we'll call some names. Diane Bennett, we have a certificate of appreciation for Diane Bennett. So these certificates of appreciation, the ones I'm going to start with, are for folks who volunteered their time to decorate the city of Plymouth's booth display at the 2023 Amador County Fair.
Blue ribbon winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kirk Bennett.
He didn't make it tonight.
Okay.
And the other one that didn't make it from the group is Mike Spinetic, because he's
Okay.
at a concert.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Catherine's here.
Kathleen Shu.
Thank you, Kathleen. Good job.
Oh, Mike Spinetta, who we know is not here.
We can tell him we got applause.
And Peter Amoroso.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. Thank you, Peter. Well done.
Well, how do y'all come back? Are we, we're not done yet, right? So that's, that was the next group. So you want to come back up and have a picture with everybody? And then my other questions can go over.
Council on one side. There you go.
Thank you.
Now we have more certificates for the city window. These are certificates of appreciation for those who helped with the window. And this was a third place that they received. So thank you. We have Bill Claproth.
Nice to meet you. Nice job. First place next year.
And if you want to stay up there, we'll just have everybody stay up there and photo op.
Go third.
Fran Ford, who is not here tonight. Karen Pearson.
Good job. Well done.
Thank you.
Jean Ballard. Greg Young, who is not here with us tonight. Kathy Young, who is not here with us. Raquel Blackrock.
Last but not least.
Okay, Carolyn LeQuinn, who is not here with us tonight.
Sit by the neighbor.
We got no manual, it's like the award winners and everybody else. We do that every meeting, that's the fun.
And next on the agenda, 4.2, we have a presentation by Patrick McEntee with Aquaco Resources.
Not to waste time, I'm Pat McEntee. I'm the head of the No Wildfire Program and the CEO of Aquaco. And we're going to be bringing, after years of work, a new automated fire protection system to test in Amador County. And in fact, our test bed is the Shenandoah, 8 miles up and 6 miles across. I guess we all know, I'm a computer person. I was involved in building the internet, and I've been applied to doing this to figure things out because it's pretty obvious we've got our hands full, right? You know, those of you who know Lahaina on top of everything else. Anyhow, we repurposed some military technology that's very advanced from the battlefield to control sensing at a distance, very dense sensing for sparks and other stuff, smoke, movement of wind, pollution, and has camera technology and whatnot. So this is far ahead. It's developed. It's a spin-out. Partners of mine and from Johns Hopkins, the medical university, or it's from the medical part of it. And so the whole point is to automate and to be able to actually protect people and fight fires. So I'm not going to go into all the details, but it's the next step beyond the existing to help our firefighters and to help people defend their property. And the first part of that is, okay, scroll, okay. And here I am, a computer person, and I'm acting like a door kid. So where am I? I'm lost now. Okay, so there we go. So we all know, just real quick, we all know Paradise. It's okay. Yeah, maybe that'd be a good idea. Yeah, why don't you just go do that? Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank you so much. This isn't just me and some cone heads, but there's an army of people from the UC, several state agencies. Barbara's here on the ground, testing in Burke Ranch. She's a site. And once we get these slides, I'll show you what we're talking about here. Of course, this is the proving ground for California ag. It's about defending our crops first, and then other things will benefit from it. Home HOAs, senior living, town halls. And this is all modeled off of the learnings we did of the disaster at Paradise. I unfortunately had to study all these fires, so I know them all too well. And I look as wood as fuel now instead of beautiful trees, which it is as it is. But, what are we doing here? So the point here is to put out a thing that's a dense network so we can sense better locally, and then also it will automate in an automated fashion, trigger things that are automated systems. Cannons that will fire around buildings that will not just casually protect, but protect. The fire will not be able to get there. It'll be like a plane flying over your house with retardant or flooding around your house. So we're developing a whole new theory of protection. But without detection, it ain't gonna work, okay? So go to the next one, please, thanks. What it is this. We're gonna put these, I've been going around, I've met John DeStasio, we're meeting with all the vineyards, want every vineyard to have one, the different topologies, the top points, the town to have one. We would like to have one in the roundabout around here. So it is a new model of how a dense network exists. And what that means is within that space, it can protect better. It can be a denser response. If a spark hits, they'll know immediately. So it shortens response time from like an hour to a minute. And then like on the towers that are up in the El Dorado forest and whatnot, it can sense way and it can zoom in and find it and locate and do all kinds of things. So eventually we'll have more automation of ridge lines and things like that you'd feel more like a battlefield, because that's kind of what we're dealing with here with all this climate change and the fires. Go ahead. That's Barbara installing her own system on her house up in Birch Ranch, looking down the canyon, and kind of like having your own lookout. Like, oh, I know where this. Everybody, you talk to everybody. Well, where will the fire come from? Well, everybody has a theory. Nobody really knows, but there is some general likelihood of it, right? Simply put, you kind of point these pups at it to watch, and you watch from your own property point of view. And the thing about them is they all work in a network. So they can talk to one another. So you're not waiting for something from a satellite. Satellites are great, but it's not the same thing as boots on the ground. In general, it's not true, but certainly in fire, it's not true. You don't have to ask any other firefighter. Plus then the thing that I like, I've gotten to know a lot of firefighters and I really admire them, and I can't believe how unsupported they are. My son's a naval officer and I know what they do to support him. And so all this new information will be accessible all the firefighters, and we intend to pilot a new type of control center to support Amador Fire with the other things. So it really is happening here. The whole state, everybody is focused. So I'm, going now. The other thing about it is, so, I mean, just not to get too crazy about it, what is it sensing that's different? Can you scoot up a little? So it senses the fire, the spark, the rate of its expansion, the movement of its wind, a lot of stuff, like it's the beast, right? And then obviously obviously the temperature variant, not to get too into fire, but fire is not even in its heat. And then a byproduct that we forget about is the after effects of the new type of fire.
Pat, can you stay near the microphone so we get you on?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. The new fires in general, not to get technical, but are burning a lot hotter for a lot of reasons. And that's caused a new type of air pollution that's an after effect that lingers. So it's burned so hot, the things get so small, they'll go right into your skin. So it's toxic. So low-lying areas, they can retain there for a long time. So this thing about, oh, well, the fire's not near or whatever, well, all California, the Central Valley, all of it's exposed now because of this, the air quality-wise. This has started, and this is really a phenomenon that's happened over the past 10 years, really, for a whole host of reasons. Keep going. Another thing that is we want to rethink, and I have been talking to different members of the county and some of you all and whatnot, is we need more water around. We have to capture more water. Plymouth has beautiful resources of uneven terrain. We can capture water. We need to have a lot more water around. We use retardant, but we need water. Residential areas need water resources. The big water tank up on Fiddletown, I've been driving all over, so that could be 2 or 3 times bigger, different types of things. So we need a lot of water. So there's a whole different type of program about capturing water that needs to happen, not unlike what happened with the programs for solar. You just have to have more water. And we have a lot of water. We have a lot of rainfall. We let 32 trillion gallons of water wash into the sea because of the snowpack. We can't afford to do that anymore because we're digging our way out. Okay, it's nice that it replenished the reservoirs, though. Keep going. And then, of course, my buddy Rod from Canada, who's up and fighting the fires in Canada, he's invented this sprinkler from hell, if you will, that can put out retardant in 2 minutes. We can make a block a mile long, a fire block. So it's an automated fire block. So if we can predict where they are, and there'll be portable ones as well. It's a big debate about that, but we know from Paradise and a lot of the fires, ridge lines, elevations on individual property, river lines, tree lines are all points of vulnerability in general, right? For one reason or another, wind, fuel, elevation, rise, yada, yada, yada. So these are new ideas we're adding, and the nice thing about them is they can be automatic. They don't involve putting people at risk. Right? So in the future we see, oh, it could happen here or there, more things that we can do where it'll be controlled remotely. And then we're trying to find a simple way to communicate to owners about this. So about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, I looked for a very rugged place nearby, and we found Oloria Winery down in the Calaveras. It's a little more uneven, higher elevation, yada, yada territory here. So we have a site we're working on there. This is kind of our test site, if you will, with one of the wineries. And we developed this thing called the scorecard, which is kind of, we have the, I'll wrap up quick.
The microphone.
We have the general practice of defensible space. So people clear and this and that is an underlying concept of CAL FIRE and everything right now. So, but what are the next steps? Well, there's a lot of them, and we're not doing them yet, right? So here are the things we need to, in human language, think about. Defensible space is a mitigation strategy, your preparedness, prevention, whatever, but also detection. Almost no one has detection. Well, how are you going to shorten response time without detection? That's why me as a cone head, I'm here, because it's a computer thing, right? And then also escape. Well, what is escape? Escape is escape general. It was a terrifying thing of all the recordings I listened to, right? Not being able to escape. But you can't always escape in California because a lot of the roads were designed in 1930. So you have to You have to think that through. So it's really, you know, escape or refuge. I have some of these words wrong. I got a little corrections on them today. But I mean, like a lorry, you can't escape. So you have to plan to have a refuge to survive on property. Who tells you to do that? Who funds it? And who says that's a good thing to do? No insurance incentives, no anything right now. All that has to change. And then protection. Like the fire cannon, there's little sprinkler systems on house and little vents and this and that. Now, they're all good, but they're not going to protect a barrel chai if it's going to burn, or really protect assets in a lot of ways. So we're just at the beginning of this. I'm old, so I was actually part of the computer industry starting. We're in like 1982 in the computer industry, and we have an IBM PC. This is just starting right now. And, you know, it's happening here. An army of UC people are involved in this. People all over the country, people all over the world are involved in this. So I don't want to make a bigger deal out of it, and it's not about me, but we're happy to be doing it here. Amador was selected of a bunch of counties. I selected Plymouth when we were working with Amador, and there's a whole set of reasons, not just because it's a great place, but because of the terrain, the lift, and all this other stuff. It's a model for the whole rim, from Fresno up to Paradise, of towns that are at risk, including the Central Valley. So, and this is Barbara. She's my teammate here from the Firewise Council. We're not just doing this as a bunch of conies. We're putting all our tools and energy into all the existing programs that exist to fuel inject them. By next year, they'll have more from us. Okay? Thank you.
Council members have any questions? Do you mind if we ask you some questions?
Oh, can I sit down?
Sure. Or would,
Yes.
actually, if you could speak in the microphone, it would help. Being
It can reach over there.
That's all right.
Sure?
Yeah, sure.
for the recording. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Pat, how do you think your system would have worked, for example, in Lahaina, which is on fire right now?
I spent
Now
all day.
you have a resource. You have an ocean right next door, right there.
Yeah.
Would that have, could this system have saved Lahaina?
Yes.
Or is it too fresh to?
No, it could have. I'll tell you how. Okay, you know
I
how.
remember they have 70-mile-an-hour gusts as well as 35-mile-an-hour winds.
No, and yeah. So I'll get into my version of it, and then people who know more could correct me. But I know Lahaina well. I used to have a place there, and so if we had a perpendicular barrier north of the city on the way to Kapalua, all the way up the side of the mountain with a cannon firing with a distance, 300, 400 feet. Okay, and then we had a similar thing. So we had a break north and south of it that would, so that it would eliminate fuel, right? And then other, like the cannons for misting. In one sense, the cannons can be used to shoot stuff out of the air. They're very agile. So no way to know, but I would say based on what we know, even as early days, a greater than 50% chance. Certainly it would not have happened the way it did, right? It would not have happened, because we can do all kinds of things to flood it with that, you know, if all of the firefighting was automated in place. No way to know that. That's the key, one of the key questions, because we have hundreds of towns like that, not like
Well, I would
Lahaina.
think the advantage is that Lahaina is a small, contained place,
Yeah,
made of primarily wood.
yeah,
Not so different than Plymouth.
not so different than Plymouth, or any of Sutter Creek, or
We don't have we don't have the ability. We don't have the ocean next to us, but you'd have to capture the water and put it in tanks or towers or whatever.
we can't do water here, Doug. We can only do water for some things, some moisture. We'd have to do a retardant perimeter
Can't
to
do
cut
water.
the fuel. What?
Can't store enough water you can't store enough water here in order to.
Well, theoretically, we don't know if we could. So what we need to do is have like rings, some retardant, some water. This is one of the theories now, but yeah, you're right. The exact same thing could happen here easily. And it's even more difficult to fight. You know, obviously you don't have the ocean. The wind, I mean, the wind there obviously went berserk because of the hurricane, so it's a little hard to know. But you know, through all this stuff with all the UC scientists, what we've learned is the real reality of climate change is climate volatility. We can't count on anything because
I missed your point about you said you have your system outside of Lahaina? You mentioned some area over there where you have
No, we don't have anything in Hawaii
nothing
right
there.
now. Not right now. No,
Okay.
no. Right now, it's in, it's not even, the parts that are the sensing parts are in Colorado, in several places. They're all in California, they're in Jackson Forest, they're in the OC, they're in Oakland. I mean, they're starting to go all over, but only 1 unit, 10 units, this and that. Here, we're making the mesh network where it will protect, because it'll be like a perimeter around it, if you will, so it's different, right? Of course, you know, the detection is the first start, because all of that rapid detection can be used to dispatch conventional firefighting more efficiently. That's the thing they're struggling with, right? But where it comes down is protection and survival. And not survival, but escape. You know, one example is Fiddletown Road. We need to make egress on Fiddletown Road a reality, that it will not burn. We can do it. Pretty straightforward. We can make a corridor right up there, right? And we need to think about all those other access areas that are not really road accessible. Down, I don't know all, but down toward Rombauer, off the Steiner Road, I think it is, or whatever. That's a whole separate microclimate. Is fuel rich and very difficult to escape. So these are all, you know, conehead ideas. We're theoretically doing this or that. So now we're going to mesh those ideas with Chief Withrow and the reality, and not be high and mighty. We're going to say, okay, what do you need now? Let's use this stuff to build what you need. With each one of the owners, like how are they going to protect their land and what are the new things, right?
So, kind of, you barely skimmed over it, and kind of, I'm trying to find the correlation, because you talked about agriculture and protecting our food and everything else. But when I always think wildfire, I always think forest land, San Diego, of course up here, dense wooded areas that, you know, our Central Valley is our agricultural belt in California. I'm just kind of a little bit more explanation on the hand in hand between the agriculture and
Well, okay, so it is related to the byproduct of the pollution that exists in the wine industry, which I'm a grower and for years.
Okay.
There's a thing called grape taint now,
Yes.
which is the after effect of that's unpredictable, that can destroy crops in the field, destroy wines themselves. It's the after effect, right? So if you look at the pattern of where the fire is, it's like a iceberg. The pattern of the after effect is 8 to 10 times bigger and unpredictable, right? You don't know. You think, oh, the fire went away. Well, not really. Not this type of fire.
Okay, so I guess so Napa, a lot of grape smoke happened there. Here with our fires, a lot of grape smoke. But maybe that's where my confusion comes in, because at one point in time, California was 70% of the world's food, or agricultural commodities, and I'm always thinking crops when I hear stuff like that. You know, your corn, your tomatoes, that kind of thing. So it's mostly to prevent that. I guess the nickname grape smoke is what I've always heard it called.
No, well, not now, but I don't think it will continue. I think every walnut tree individually is a risk from an ember.
Yeah.
Embers used to hang out around the fire. Now they're like missiles. They can go a mile, and they're big. They can be big and erratic, and the winds are different and not that. So the answer is we don't know. We don't have that. We don't have that to know. But I walk around now looking at everything as fuel, wondering how long it will burn and how dry it is to ignite and that. And, you know, so course, there's conventional stuff too about forest management and all of that that's just started, how we put these technologies to work at that scale, right? Like rethinking the observation tower or rethinking the observation area, or how do we really create a ridge line which is alive to observe, to create land intelligence. So it's doing something, but the bulk of this it was really driven out of the loss of life at Paradise, obviously, but it was the glass fire that was the tipping point. You know, losing $33 billion in 1 year got everybody's attention, right? So my customers are big ag, food processors, medium scale commercial, all the water utilities, all the big electrical utilities whose power lines and towers are flying down, communication companies and whatnot. You know, really when we think about it, I think about Plymouth using the model we developed for Paradise. How many points of essential services exist in Amador County that need to be protected? Quite a few. And there are certain things where you should know when you go in that it's not going to burn, you're going to be protected, and there's ways to do that. And you know, we or dramatically alter the probability, I think. You know, of course, it's early days. And then also some notion of refuge on the road. What do I do on the road if I'm caught here or there? And also refuge on large property where you know escape is not realistic, which we have a lot of. Do you have something you want to look like you want to talk, Mike?
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you very much for being here tonight. I know we have spoken, a couple of times, outside of chambers. I know you were at our last meeting, and as I've shared with you, it's great to see technology leveraging forward. Having spent my entire career in the fire service, and then I was the chair of the Western Fire Chiefs Wildfire Policy Committee for a number of years, and one of the areas that we desperately struggled with is technology. This is an absolute fact. I'm going to say it sarcastically, but it's an absolute fact. As we respond to the low frequency, high risk events, the campfire, the glass fire, the electrofire, where we're deploying resources, we're sending firefighters from our fire agencies to places that they may have never been to before for an incident that's continuing to escalate. There is no one place to get real-time information and intelligence. In fact, the responders rely on Bobby, who's living in his mom's basement, listening to a scanner, posting on a blog.
So sad.
In 2023, it's still mind-boggling. We're making progress. We're working forward. Detection equipment like this, especially with the mesh network that you envision, we're going to be able to model in real time fire behavior, where a fire is going, what it's doing. That can ultimately be brought through the FirstNet network and put in the cab of a fire engine, and those first companies and responding companies have the ability to get it. That to me is the operational mindset, on the front end. And then, with the over the years, I've seen many different automated type of systems put in around homes and structures, but ultimately they never have enough water flow, gallons per minute to be able to take the heat energy out of the fire. Right. This fire BOS 100 gallon per minute, the key is having the raw water, and then doing a retardant reduces the amount of water you need, because it, basically is a water multiplier in terms of sticking effect. I think there's just some huge potential, and I think it's hard to put your mind around what ultimately the potential will be, but I sure appreciate you presenting to us. While Shenandoah is technically outside the city, it's part of our, it's our Siamese twin, right? We're one and the same. The only way you can get there really is through here, and what happens up there is important to us. And I encourage you to please keep us informed as the project moves forward, because I'll be very interested to see what it could become.
Well, thank you, Mike. We'll all do it together. So just to comment on two things that Mike's raising. So in the future, the little pup there, when somebody comes in from Riverside and they know what's going on, it'll download on band 14 or whatever. Here you are. Here's the situation. Here's the sensors. Here's the guidance when you arrive. More like a battlefield. Here's the thing. We create with situational awareness. We deserve to have our people have that It's not easy to do. Unfortunately, we spend a lot more money doing it for other things than the fire, but it's about time to change that, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5, the consent calendar items. And 5.1, we have correspondence. 5.2, approve the regular meeting minutes of July 13th, 2023. 5.3, approve resolution 2023-36, making findings necessary to continue to conduct Brown Act meetings virtually. 5.4, accept the warrant register for June 2023. 5.5, authorize 3 payments of invoices over city manager's authority of $5,000, ranging between $8,715 and $19,396. And Ms. Roberts, did you have some additional information you wanted to provide?
Yes. On 5.1 correspondence, I just wanted to provide the council with just a little bit more information that was in that than what was in the packet. The Department of Transportation grant is an opportunity for a no matching funds grant to go with the rest of the cities in the county. I've had pretty clear direction from the council that they want grant money seeked out. So I felt comfortable relating that to the county. That's why this was just a communication. It was just for your information, not for any type of action. For the housing element, that document that is in your packet, there was a mix-up at when that document first came out. The planner had previously gotten communication from the consultant planner. However, he lost that contract job and he no longer was getting those. I didn't connect those dots. And so there was a delay in getting him the document. I checked in with him to see what the status was so I could report it out, and he advised he hadn't seen it. So in light of that, where we are is that the consultant on the housing element, they're drafting up the final draft. It should be out next week. I've talked with our planner. It will be on the September 7th Planning Commission meeting for a public hearing, and then it will then follow to the council for a public hearing and hopefully adoption to then have the 6th element countywide turned back into HCD. So that's the status on the housing, and that's why they were both on as communications. I should have provided you more information, and for that I do apologize.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on the consent calendar, on any of the consent calendar items? Is there anybody here in City Hall who would like to make public comment? Is there anybody on Zoom?
No raised hands at this time.
Okay, thank you. So I'll close this to public comment. And do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar items?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent calendar, and I just want to make a note that, Ms. Roberts, I appreciate your, going after and applying for the grant, and to apply for a grant doesn't obligate any city resources, so go forth and apply. I know everything will come back to us for ultimate acceptance and approval, so thank you for the clarification. And so anyway, I make the motion to approve the consent calendar.
I second the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Could we take a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sim,
Aye.
Mayor Ackerlin.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 6, public hearings. There are none tonight. Item 7, regular agenda items. 7.1, consider adoption of 2 city policies, City Council values policy, and interaction with city staff. Could we please have a staff report?
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, the council had been talking about policies, and these were 2 policies that are very important in terms of how the city is operating and communicating with each other. And so these are the first two policies that are being brought forward. I have 18 more stacked up ready to bring, just so you're aware. I just felt that these two were two of the more important ones to get started with. They're fairly simple policies. They're consistent with other agencies. We did not just write these blanketed. We did research from other agencies and put these together with the best information from a mix of cities. So these are before the council tonight for possible adoption. We can make some changes and approve with the changes that are made. My recommendation is to adopt both policies, and that's my staff report.
Thank you. I'd like to open this for public comment. Is there anybody here in City Hall who'd like to make public comment on item 7.1? Anybody on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Okay, so I'll close this to public comment and open this for council discussion. And Councilmember McLaughlin?
I just want to say as one, well, I guess our newest council member that, you know, when I was elected, I was surprised that there really are no policies on how the city council operates, right? It was a bit of a surprise. I mean, it's as it was mentioned, this is a pretty wide-standing practice really in most agencies. And I'm excited to see this come forward. You know, that if we can't, if we as your city council can't articulate what our responsibilities are and who, what, when, where, and why and how we're supposed to do business, it's hard for the businesses and residents of our community to know what we're supposed to do and be able to hold us accountable for our office and our behavior and our conduct and so on and so forth. So I'm just, well, I guess using Scott Harvey's, I'm tickled pink that it's before us tonight. So thank you for bringing this.
I took the words right out of my mouth. Councilmember White?
The one thing I do want to say is it's kind of a shame that we become a world that you should just know how to be nice. I mean, so that's just my opinion on it. I want it on the record that I really wish there was Councilmember Kleinfelter was here just to make sure that her opinion was felt and everything else. But yeah, I'm pretty much supported. I'm not going to lie about that.
Vice Mayor Sim?
Yes, I think these policies are long overdue. Having read through them, there's a lot of just common sense in here, but sometimes common sense has to be outlined. And I am looking forward to seeing your other, would you say 16 more?
18 more.
18 more. That's fine. I think that for the most part, I think we are all. I think we all try and behave ourselves, but there are times where we all get out of line, and I think that we need to read these policies over and think about it a little bit. So anyway, thank you, Margaret, for putting this together.
And I agree with what's already been said, and thank you for putting these together, and we look forward to the remaining 18. And I guess this means I can no longer kick Doug under the table.
He's kicking out the open now.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you for doing this. I think this is long overdue. So do we, I'd like to entertain a motion at this point.
Make a motion that we adopt the adoption of CC-002 city council policies and adoption of CC-015 interaction with city staff.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
And it's been moved and seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McLaughlin?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sim?
Aye.
Mayor Ackerlin?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. And now, number 8, council staff communications. Do we have a city manager's report?
Well, Went to my first Amador County Fair, and I had a great time. I was there every day, starting at 8 o'clock in the animal barns, watching the kids show their animals, and ended up in the carnival area with my grandson riding rides. So it was full day every day. I actually was glad when my family went home on Sunday and I could go just for a short time all by myself and do what I wanted to do. So it's a great county fair we have here.
Did you make it to the demolition derby?
I did not.
Oh,
That's past White's bedtime.
okay.
Mine too. The League of California Cities Sacramento Valley Division is having a cornhole tournament on October 13th. There, it goes in obviously teams of 2. If you're interested, let me know. I am going to participate. The city managers, the Sacramento Valley City Managers Division meeting was today, and they're pushing us hard to participate. So,
There may be a faction of BBK folks there as well, just to spike the punch a little bit.
oh. So it would be a lot of fun. It's Friday, October 13th. Just let me know. And that's my report.
Thank you. Council member reports. Council member McLaughlin.
I'd love to join you. I'm terrible, but the only way to get better is to practice. And then just I guess reporting on meetings that Mr. McEntee and I had met a couple of times, talk about his products, just for that out. And other than that, I have nothing else this evening. Thank you.
Councilmember White.
So, I'm on the other end of the spectrum for, as Margaret is. My county fair started 2 days earlier than most people because my kids show livestock. It was my youngest daughter's last fair as a junior youth exhibitor, so it was probably one of the most relaxed, best weather fairs I have ever seen. Ran across Margaret while I was there. The public seemed to be in good spirits out there. The flowers were as beautiful as they are every year. And yeah, just a great fair and all that stuff. I heard we had a good Purple Heart ceremony on Monday, so that's exciting. And Sounds of September, tell everyone, get out. We're going to have some good music. Got the 5 bands booked. We're ready to go.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Sim.
I agree with everybody that the fair was terrific. I understood there was, everybody behaved themselves. There was very, very little issues out there with the sheriff's department and so forth. And in the absence of the mayor, I was asked to be part of the opening ceremony at the fair, which I enjoyed. I was able to say a few words behind our local California state senator, Maria Alvarado Gil, and she was terrific as always. And Mr. Hoffman said a few words to the folks in the opening of the fair, and we were quite fortunate. The fair was well attended, and the weather cooperated too, which was very nice. So anyway, really enjoyed it. Thank you.
And I want to thank Vice Mayor Sim for filling in for me at the 4th of July parade and the fair. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And then I just also want to wish a happy anniversary to Vice Mayor Sim and his wife, Jolinda Sim, who are celebrating 50 years of marriage. So happy anniversary to both of you.
Jolinda, how did you do it?
I was wondering the same thing.
She really needs a certificate of appreciation. Cornhole practice, but maybe not. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, when you're done.
Okay, I am done.
I have for the August 24th meeting, I have a conflict and will be unable to attend. And then for the first meeting in September 9th, I believe, maybe. First meeting in September, my lovely bride and I will be in Yellowstone. So depending on cell coverage and the ability to connect, I may be able to join by Zoom, but I'm very, very tentative on that one, so I just want to make it known.
I got a question, and I know we can't see that far into the future. How busy is our agenda on the 24th going to be? Do we not know yet, or?
I have not started any items for the 24th.
Okay, because I know I'll be on the 25th in Anaheim, but I was thinking about skipping out of town on the 24th. I can be here, but, you know, so I'm just running that idea across to everyone now that Mike brought that up.
And I was neglectful in asking you guys, is there any future requests, any requests for future agenda items? Okay, doesn't sound like it. Okay. All right, with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Don't say whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait a minute, wait a minute.